So welcome to Puzzle Master. Today I'm going to be showing you the solution for the Hanayama rotor puzzle, which means I'm going to show you a solution or a route through from getting that original rotor puzzle position to a completely separated two pieces, and then the reverse to get it back to that original starting rotor position. Now the rotor puzzle is a level 6 out of 6 on the Hanayama difficulty scale, and it is a level 10 out of 10 on the Puzzle Master difficulty scale. And if you haven't already got the rotor puzzle for yourself, then you can pick it up from our website puzzlemaster.ca. And just before we get into the solution, the chances are you won't be at the very start position, and you probably won't be at a completely separated position either. So the challenge for you, or the extra challenge as well as following this solution, is going to be to identify where you are on the puzzle and try and get to a position that you see during the solution. So if we're starting at point A and going to point B and there's a route through the map and you're not on that route, then you need to find where you are on the map and then find a way to get to that route, if that makes sense. So this is extra hard for you to be able to solve this, purely because you're not going to be, or the chances are that you're not going to be in one of those positions that you're about to see, just down to the sheer vast number of possible orientations and positions that these two pieces can be in. So with that in mind, let's crack on with that solution. Okay, so here is a rotor puzzle in its starting position. And how you know it's in the starting position is because of where all the engravings are. So you have the two sort of circles with lines through the middle are opposite each other, and then you've also got the rotor engravings opposite in this position here, and the silver piece should be sort of hanging in this position relative to the gold puzzle from here. So once you're in this starting position, or when you're in this starting position, what we're going to be doing to make it easier to follow along to is the gold piece is going to stay in this position the whole time, and we're just going to be moving the silver piece around the gold piece. So we're going to be going clockwise moves, anti-clockwise moves, coming across the gold piece, and a few other different moves that you'll see as we're going through it. So as we are looking at the gold piece now, this top right hand corner is the bit with the circle and the straight line through it, and then you've got the rotor engraving in here. So if you orientate yourself into this position, the gold piece isn't going to be moving from here. So what we're going to do to start with is we're going to be moving the silver piece in an anti-clockwise way, where we come off this corner of the gold piece and we come on in this corner over here. That is move number 1 done. We're then going to do exactly the same thing, going anti-clockwise, but this time it's the silver piece dropping back through the gold piece and coming up in this gap in here. Now when you are doing these moves, it's likely that something will get stuck or will not want to go through somewhere. If it does, then just pull it back for a second, rearrange it, and then you should be able to get through from there. I'll probably encounter that problem myself a few times, so you'll see what I mean as we are going through it. Once we've done that, so we've done 2 anti-clockwise moves, we're then going to use this gap on the silver piece to cross over this groove in the gold piece in here. So we now end up in this position here. What we're then going to do is we're going to go anti-clockwise again. So we're going to drop through with the silver piece in here and then come back up into this position here. Okay, the next move is the special move. So here, you may have noticed already, but of these 3 axes on on the gold piece and the silver piece, there is one that is slightly thinner than the other 2. And what that allows us to do is we can get to this position here, where this gap can go across the top gold axis, and also this gap in the gold piece can go across this silver axis in here. Now we started this, or before we did this move, we started in this position here. And all we are going to do is cross over the top gold axis into this position here. What we're not doing is crossing the silver axis and coming up. It's just crossing the gold axis and sitting into this position here. Once we're here, we're then going clockwise around the gold piece. So we slide over the rotor engraving there, and we come back on into this position here. And we're then going to go again. We go down with the silver piece, and we're going clockwise around into this position. And then we're going to cross over this groove of the gold piece with the silver gap in here. This one sometimes needs a slight bit of force, but if you get it right like that, it should just slide across nice and easily. And then we're going to go anti-clockwise. So we're up in this position, we're going to come off the gold piece up here, and we're going to come back on down here. Now we get a little bit more complicated, because so far the silver piece has sort of been mostly below the gold piece, but now it's going to come up above it. So we're going to use the gap that's down here in the silver piece. We're going to slide up across that gap and into here. So the silver piece is now sitting in this position here. But the good news is we've just got 3 clockwise moves to do, and then we've separated the puzzle. So we're going to come off this corner and onto this corner over here, and we're then going to go through the silver piece is going to come through the gold piece. So we lift up from here, and the rotor engraving on the silver piece is going to go down into this position. So it is just a simple and clockwise move, but because the silver piece is on top, it makes it look a little bit more complicated. The final move, so we're in this position, we're going to slide off that top corner, we're going to come back onto this bottom corner down here, and this is the position at which these are now all lined up. The grooves in the gap on the opposite pieces, the grooves in the middle of the axes are now all lined up, and we can come to this position, separate from there, and from here you can slide over the top, you can slide over the bottom piece, or you can just slide out the middle in 2 gaps. And that is how you separate the rotor puzzle pieces. And to put these back together, it is a case of just reversing all the moves that we have just done, but that is much easier said than done. We're gonna keep it exactly the same. The gold piece is gonna stay in this position. So you've got the rotor engraving here, you've got the circle with the line straight through the middle in this position here. And we're just gonna be moving the silver piece around the gold piece to get it back to that original position, so it's easier for you to follow along too. Now, there's only one way that you can put these back together properly, but if you are struggling, then we have got the Hanayama engraving here, the groove in the silver piece here, and this gap is the one with the cutouts. So from here we're going to slide those, and we're turning it into this position before we then connect into here, and we can then cross over those pieces into this position here. And the first proper moves that we do are 3 anti-clockwise twists. So we're coming off this corner and onto this corner up here. And we're then going to pick up the silver piece through the gold piece. So the silver rotor engraving is coming up, and then we're coming down through this corner over here when we're in the right position. And then we do one more anti-rotation twist in here. So we come off that corner and onto this corner. So we end up in this position here. And from here, it's going to get a little bit easier to orientate yourself, because the silver piece is going to be mostly below the gold piece, because we're using this groove in here to go through this gap in the gold piece. So we drop down into this position here. Next, we're going clockwise with the silver piece. We're coming off this corner and onto this corner. And then we're going to sort of continue that movement by crossing the gap in the silver piece, which is the gap with the cutouts, and we're going over that gold groove in here. And again, this can be a little bit tight, but if you get it in the right position, it should just glide across nice and simply. Next, we are going to come anti-clockwise with the silver piece for 2 moves. So we end up here first, and then we're coming over that corner and over the gold rotor engraving with that piece there. And this is the position where we did that special move where we cross the gold axis with this silver gap. But again, it is possible to cross the the gold gap here over the silver axis there, but we don't want to do that. We just want to cross. So we're going from this position here to this position here. So I'll give you a second just to do that move and make sure you've got the orientation right. So we end up in this position. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to go clockwise around the gold piece into this position here. And we're nearly done. What we need to do next is cross the gap in the silver piece over this gold groove in here. And again, when it's in the right position, it should just glide over nice and easily. Now we've just got 2 clockwise turns of the silver piece to go, and we're back in that original rotor position. So the first one, we drop down through this gap over here, and we come up over this gap in here. And then the final turn, we come over this corner here and onto this corner here. And we are back in that original rotor puzzle position. The silver engraving is here, the gold engraving is here. The circles with the lines through are facing each other, and the silver piece sits in the gold piece just like that. So there it is. That is how you disassemble and then reassemble the rotor puzzle. The hardest part for you is going to be, like I said at the start, identifying where you are on the rotor puzzle and then trying to get onto the route where we either separate it or put it back together. Which is also a task in itself, keeping track of where each piece is and where it's going, and doing those moves that can be quite awkward and don't seem to want to go where you want to go them all the time. This is a very, very difficult puzzle to solve. And hopefully this has helped you solve the rotor puzzle for yourself. If you want to pick up more puzzles just like the rotor puzzle, then check out our website puzzlemaster.ca, where we have the biggest variety of puzzles on the internet in the world. Until next time, I will see you later.